Yeah, Nick Marichak joins us in the studio as he does every Thursday from MKI Legal. If there's anything going on right now that you wouldn't mind asking a question about, feel free, give us a call. Plenty of time, 133 882. Get on the lines and I'm sure Nick can help you or steer you in the right direction. Good morning to you, mate.
Hello, Gary.
Yeah, well, a bit brisk out there, wasn't it, this morning, eh? That little 4 degrees that came to play.
Yeah, I went for a run. It was quite chilly, so I
What?
needed my sweater.
Are you a morning runner?
Yeah,
I
good day
can't
to
do
start.
it.
I think it's great to start the day. I like to exercise in the morning instead of night.
I've tried it. I just can't, I can't get myself going enough. So I have to wait until I'm sort of fully energised through work and I go home and sort of like around the 4 to 5 mark,
Yeah.
I can go for a run. But I just can't do it in the morning.
I think the secret is just go for like a 2-minute run. You know, make it easy and just
2
go
minutes.
go for like a couple hundred meters and then start from there.
Start warming myself up that way. All right, okay, I might do that. 133 882. Any questions you've got, get on the lines. Jenny's there. You've got a building issue or builder issue, Jenny. Good morning.
I do.
What's happening?
I do. Thank you for taking my call. So we've had an apartment build, really nice apartment, and we were sort of a bit of a project of COVID. So the original builder went bust or went into liquidation, and then luckily our developer had a building licence, so he's taken over the build. However, we're now getting problems with defects and things like that, and the developer's now saying, it's not his problem, it was the original builder's problem. So, whereas I don't think that's the case.
Okay, so
I think he's responsible. He took over the build.
yeah, he took over the build. So, how long ago was this build finished? Because there are time limits that apply.
Yeah. We've only been in for about 7-8 months.
Oh, that's good. So generally, you got 6 years to sort this out, because after 6 years, when it comes to building work, it starts to get a lot harder. So what kind of problems are there?
Oh, just water leaking, windows breaking, tiling's just not the best, blockages. And like we've been to the apartment, like the apartment advocates, and we've got sort of information that it is the developer, but we're all getting sent sort of lawyers' letters and things like that saying, it's not our problem, it's the other construction's problem. And it's just like, well, who do we go to, because they're non-existent anymore?
Yeah, because the builder went bust, the first builder, and they took over the work. So they actually delivered the project to you, handed it over, and took over. Yeah. So there are a number of things. There is liability insurance, building liability insurance that every builder has to get. And you've got 6 years to make a claim for that. So that is often a good step. It might save you the hassle of going against them. So have you tried going against their insurance?
No, but he's already taken people through the SAT.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it's
Right.
just like, surely it's cheaper just to fix a block thing or some tiles than to go through the process that he's taking us.
You just want rectification. You just want
Yeah.
you've got a list of things you'd like them to look at and change. Have they even looked at them? Do you know?
Yeah, some things he'll go, like the electrical things he's looked at, but the other things, and like it's just, I'm not an isolated case. There's quite a few of us in this apartment block that have got sort of issues, and he's just, we're just getting the hardest. Yeah, we get nothing from him basically.
So Nick, in your opinion, are they at a point where they need to go and see a lawyer and perhaps challenge them in a legal sense first up, see how they respond to that letter that might come in the, and might put him on notice that this could get ugly? And do they have to do that? Do you think, Nick?
Yeah, I think you try stuff yourself first, and then if that doesn't work, get to see a lawyer. Because I'll threaten going to the building commission. I don't know if you've threatened that yet, but that is often a good avenue. It's write a letter to them first. Say, look, you guys are responsible. You took over the work. You delivered the project. It's on you to make sure it's working to a satisfactory level. If you don't rectify, we're going to the building commission. So when you go to the building commission, there's a process. They might come out, have a look at the work. They might inspect it to see if there are defects, and then there could be a remedy order issued by them to fix it. So what do you think the value of the work is? How much money are we talking? Your best guesstimate.
I mean, like a couple of thousand in my case, I would think.
Okay. Oh, yeah. So it's just far more economical for them just to repair it.
Yeah, I know. How many are there of you guys in this particular block? Do you
There's
think?
There's 47 apartments, and there's probably 10 of us that might be having defect issues and things like that. And I mean, he's
Don't you get together and do one as well? I mean, is that a potential?
Well, that's what we're thinking. That's what we're thinking. Yeah, he's just not playing ball at the moment, and it's just really difficult.
Yeah.
And we just get threatened with lawyers' letters.
Oh,
Well-
you get threatened.
Yeah,
Well, they're
yeah.
trying
Okay.
That we're like even like slandering his name and things like that.
Oh,
It's just
okay.
like, well, just come and fix your work.
Yeah, so it's the two like going to the insurance might be quicker as well, because then your home indemnity insurance that they have to get might just pay out the claim as well. So that might be a way. Just you might be able to get a quicker result, but then you might have to deal with an insurance company.
So I've never done it myself, Jenny. So just explain though, so once a build's finished, isn't there that opportunity to everyone to sort of walk through and make sure that everything's
Oh yeah,
set,
and we
but
certainly
you're saying
did.
it came later. The problems.
Yeah. So we had, I think there was a 6-month clause. So
Right.
we certainly did do a walkover and a handover and
Right.
things like that. But there was just things that you obviously don't look at or you don't see when you're looking at this amazing product. And we've waited 3.5, 4 years to get into the place,
Yeah.
and we're a bit sort of starstruck when we look. But that's fine. We had 6 months. So within the 6 months, we sent through a list. And then he said, oh, well, I'll fix this and this, but this and this is the other construction, so we're not responsible for it.
All right. Well, it sounds like they need to get together, doesn't it? I mean, maybe if they all got together, pulled their money a bit and got a legal opinion and something done, Nick, maybe?
Yeah, I mean that's right. We can, if you leave your details, we can certainly point you in the right direction there, and find someone that's really suitable for that, and to be able to help them, because yeah, I just think that the builder here is probably thinking, playing hard, threatening you, thinking you'll go away, and yeah.
Okay. Maybe that's the idea, Jenny. If you want to stay there, we can happily put you through to Nick after the program. Well, there you go. Now, hey, something you mentioned to me, I know, is in relation to family court matters. If I could, Nick, it's something that your company, MKI Legal, certainly look at, and there have been some changes that might be worth talking about. I think it's in relation to children.
Yeah.
Caught in the matter of these matters. Just go on and explain that to us.
Yeah, so last month in May, big changes happened to the family court. So basically it applies to children. So before these changes, there's something called parental responsibility. And parental responsibility is this really powerful concept where it's the rights and responsibility a parent has over a child. So that's the right to change their surname. It's the right to decide what religion they are, where they live, whether they're vegan or not, all kinds of issues, whether they get medical treatment for anything such as ADHD or something. It's huge. So in the past, the court basically, before these laws were changed, the court said, the starting point is there's a presumption that both parents equally will have shared parental responsibility, right? So mum and dad, dad and dad, mum and mum, whoever, are both equally responsible for the child. And that's the starting point, unless there's a good reason why it shouldn't be shared and one person should have that sole right.
Yep.
But the laws have basically been changed. This applies to married couples at the moment, but will soon probably apply to de factos as well. So now if you get separated, and you're the parent that spends less time with the child, so say you're the working parent and you work more and the other one's more the stay-at-home parent, then you're in a worse position, because now this shared parental responsibility presumption doesn't apply, so you have to fight for it. So I'm thinking, right? So that's so that means that someone's working FIFO, separates, and then the other parent probably would have an advantage now. I think we don't know how these laws will play out. The laws.
I was trying to figure out, Graham, just stand by. I'll come to you in a second, but I was just trying to figure out, when you are separated, you talk about the sort of things that you have to have this sort of shared responsibility around. So that would mean if there's a discussion around ADHD, for example, you'd have to be communicating that back and forth. I'm taking them to see a
doctor,
a medical expert,
psychiatrist.
They have to know everything that's going on.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's if one person gets this power to make the sole decision, then that's it. They can change the surname for the child. They can decide, let's move the child to a new state. Maybe I don't want to give the child any medical treatment for this. These are big decisions that potentially one parent would just have, they're big changes.
Look at it close, much closer than perhaps you would have done in the first place, because this is a change that could affect you.
Yeah.
All right, 133 882. We've still got plenty of time for calls. Graham's on the line. G'day, Graham.
Good morning, Nick and Gary.
Hey, mate.
Just a question on bankruptcy and inheritance. If we leave someone who's been in bankruptcy, and out of bankruptcy now for a few years, and they get an inheritance, can the past creditors claim this money? This is possibly more of a commercial type bankruptcy, and the house was lost and all that type of thing, so it was sort of fairly big.
Yeah. So who actually went bankrupt? Was it an individual or was it a company? How did it happen?
Well, it was an individual who was doing the actual organising the actual loans for this particular big thing that went bust, and in it happening, it just went bust. So he lost his house and declared bankruptcy, and we're sort of looking at trying to tidy up our wills, but we've been told that if we leave him some inheritance, the past creditors can still claim it.
So this person here, bankruptcy usually lasts for a period of 3 years, right? So when you go bankrupt, a bankruptcy trustee, someone basically comes in and manages your assets, and you're in that period of 3 years during that bankruptcy period. So anything you earn, your wages are garnished, your assets are sold. They do leave you a little bit. They leave you a car and they leave you just a few items of clothing, just a few things for you to get by. But that period can be extended, right? So sometimes you can push that out to longer, potentially 6 years if the bankrupt person doesn't do the right thing. But after the bankruptcy period is finished, right, they're discharged from the bankruptcy, then control comes back to that person. So do you know if this person has actually finished and discharged their bankruptcy?
Yeah, I understand. So yes.
Okay, so that should be okay then, right? As long as they got the paperwork, the bankruptcy trustee said, "Yep, it's all finished now," then any inheritance they get, they're entitled to keep.
That help you, Graham?
And yeah, thanks very much, Gary.
No drama, mate. Hope that helped. 133 882. Nick Maruchak from MKI Legal in the studio. If you'd like to put through a call, ask a question, feel free. Yeah, Nick's in the studio. Happy to take your calls. I think we've got a bit of time. 133 882. Give us a bell if there's something you'd like to discuss today. Bob is on the line in relation to an unfair dismissal issue. G'day, Bob.
Good morning, chaps.
Hello, mate.
Just quickly, I was working for tape, and there was an issue with a forklift, and there was a false report made out as condition of the brakes on the forklift. And they used that as a way of getting me dismissed, because I said that I removed a tag which was an illegal tag. A tag was put on for management to take note that we wanted the forklift to be serviced, and I weren't taking any notice. So someone put a tag on it. I just had a little bit of scribble on that, and that was all. It was just a farce to get management off their backside. Cut long story short, I went through the Public Service Appeal Board, and they were completely biased, and lost my appeal there. And I did a bit of homework. I had to do all this myself. Couldn't afford a lawyer. I did a bit of homework and found that I could go for a judicial review, which I did. But unfortunately for me, not knowing the pros and cons of it all, the information that I put forward wasn't sufficient for the judge, which was a nice judge, Judge Seward. She was quite nice, actually. Said, look, she couldn't, but sort of hinted I did have a case. So because there was corruption, in my view, a false report put in on the condition of brakes, two supervisors, the seed work safe, and I put it into the Corruption and Crime Commission, but it wasn't sort of big enough for them to handle, so to speak. Next.
So, mate, sorry, what I'll say to you, Bob, is obviously we have to be a little bit careful here. You're throwing words like corruption around, so just be careful there. Mate, what is your question? Are you asking Nick if you do have a case before a tribunal in terms of unfair dismissal? That's probably the question, is it, mate? I've got to.
No. I've been to the Public Service Appeal Board. They dismissed it. I went to a judicial review, and I want to know where I can go from now, because there was, and there's no if but or whatever about it. A false report was put in as the condition of brakes on a machine, and the person was asked to put in a false report. And I'm not the only one that knows this. Other people know it. So I'm not saying anything that I cannot refute.
No, I get that. All right. You're wondering whether there's more avenues for you now, having not succeeded in that first instance. Okay, that's your question. All right. Is there after he's gone through that? Is there anything?
Oh, so yeah, Bob. The process you went through is a difficult process because I'm assuming that you're working for the government, for the state government. That's why you went to the Public Service Appeal Board, and that's why you couldn't do an unfair dismissal claim. Is that right? You don't need to mention the government department, but is that correct?
Yeah, I was working for a government department. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it sounds like if the facts that you're saying are true and you didn't cause that damage, it is generally unfair for you to be dismissed, right? But it all comes down to proving it. And I'm sure that the other side, the department, and I've gone against a fair bunch of government departments, and they can be pretty tough and aggressive in the public system, especially the Public Service Appeal Board. So you've lost that initial decision, and then you went through one appeal avenue already. And you've lost that, is that right? So then you have to go through. You're asking me what's the next option? Is that correct?
But what I put in, what the Public Service Appeal Board didn't take note of, they said, look, they couldn't have really the judge said they couldn't have really known that. So that's why he dismissed the appeal. But
look, I can tell.
The great. People have told lies and what have you.
All right, okay. They might have done, mate. Sorry, I'm just going to not take any more risks with this, Bob. Can you just tell us, Nick, whether there's another avenue after you failed on that one?
I don't know off the top of my head, but it's very hard to appeal. Yeah. Appeals are hard. You already lost one appeal. I think it's not. I think you probably give this one up because 95% of appeals fail. 90% of appeals fail. They're very hard to get off the ground. So it's just off my head. I'll probably let this one go and try and find a new job. And yeah.
Well, sorry, mate, but it's just not the avenue is live radio to go down the ideas of sort of corruption and government officials and so on. We've got to be careful, I'm afraid. And that's not me being soft. That's just me being realistic. Sorry, buddy. Brian's there. G'day, Brian. What's your issue?
My issue is with IINet and Westnet. I actually opened up a ISP account with Westnet about 20 years ago. They were billing me $69.99 per month. Then apparently IINet bought them out, and they've both been double billing me for a year.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. So I rang up Westnet to complain, and then they put me through to IINet, and they've refused a refund.
Oh, you're definitely entitled to a refund if they've been double billing you. When did this occur? Was this quite recent?
July last year.
Okay, good. So basically, you've made the complaint within the IINet. Then you'll have to go and so I just have to think off the top of my head who there is an outside organisation that you can go.
Is it Communications Ombudsman?
Yeah.
Would you go to them? And by the way, you're talking about IINet, Brian. Is that the IINet? I mean, because IINet, they themselves are having some of their services taken over, aren't they? I don't know if you know that.
I think it's TPG.
Yeah,
something like that. Yeah.
It's the telecommunication industry. Sorry, Brian.
Okay. So what they said to me is the fact that I should have been aware that IINet had bought out Westnet, and I should have cancelled Westnet because I should have been aware of that.
Yeah, but the thing is, they started automatically charging you, right? So you just had no idea. It all happened just automatically. You had no idea, and then suddenly you've been double billed.
That's right.
So the telecommunication industry ombudsman is where you can go. It's these ombudsman places are really great for you. You can avoid court. You go in there, you make a complaint about them and about being overcharged. You also probably have rights as a consumer under Australian consumer law. Them double charging you, they're charging you for a service they didn't provide. It's against Australian consumer law. So you've also got the Department of Commerce can make a consumer complaint there. I think you're on the right. You're entitled to your money back. Definitely try everything you can to resolve it directly with them. And it sounds like you've done that. And maybe they might have an internal appeal process where they'll give you an initial decision. You say, no, I don't agree with that. Let someone else review it, and then go to outside organisations such as the Telecommunication Ombudsman and Department of Commerce.
All right. Give it a crack, mate. Yeah, that's a strange one because I know I've been told that I've got IANet. That's my email service at home, and I'm being told that that's been taken over by another company. So it's starting to sort of change before my eyes. Now, here's one last one. I've got one last one for you. This is off the text line. this is interesting. If pages fall out of a poorly bound will when opening the document, does that make the will invalid to use when applying for probate and executing the will? They say that so far it's the only original copy that they have. So it appears from that pages or a page have fallen out of a document that they believe should be in the will.
Okay, so you've got a missing page here. I think it depends on what pages are missing. So if the most important part of a will is who the executor is and where your assets are going. There are some pages in the will that are just less important that talk about executor rights. So if the court can ascertain the deceased person's intentions on how they divide the estate, then you lodge that with the court. It goes through potentially an informal will process. So an informal will is maybe a will that hasn't been correctly created, such as in this case, and the court can still make or grant probate on that will if it's satisfied that there's enough evidence of the person's intentions. And you can also, if you can get evidence from someone who was there at the signing and or who was aware of what the person knew or wanted to give, then you can give that evidence on affidavit to the court and go, look, this is what they told me about their will, and the court can take all that into account.
Right. Okay. It's interesting. It must be an important page, I'm thinking.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Hey, thanks very much for coming in today.
Thank you, Gary.
Been a pleasure. Go out there and brace yourself for the cold weather again. It is 4 minutes to 11. I'll be back after this. Thanks, Nick.
Thank you.